Well, hello, welcome. Another episode as we continue to look at Christianity. Another syllabus point is that of revelation. How is God revealed? A very important question that needs to be answered. So here we go today, revelation. So here we are again into Christianity, revelation. What is going on? You see, we might want to ask the questions, how does God reveal himself? What does he do? Where is he? How can we even be sure that the revelation we see is from God? How do we know we didn't just make it up, say, and someone thought, oh yeah, this is a good idea, we'll tell everyone this? It's a question that is commonly asked of Christianity. What might be the answer to this important question? Well, I want to take you to a debate. A debate between two German theologians. Brunner, here he is on the left, and Karl Barth. Now, Emil Brunner, he wanted to make an argument one day. He said that God is revealed, well, naturally, through the world around us. You look at the creation and you are convinced that God is in the creation. So if we were to look at it, you look at the heavens, they declare the glory of God, as Psalm 19 would say. But Karl Barth, no, he didn't like this. You see, he said no to this. Sorry, German's not great, but that's what he says. He says, nein! This is wrong. He does not believe in natural theology as being the way to know God. In fact, it seems that he's partly responding to some of the pushes for natural theology. If you go back to the 11 and 1200s, you had a guy by the name of Thomas Aquinas, and he came up with some proofs for God's existence. The argument of motion to an unmoved mover. Everything that gets moved must have started somewhere. Or the argument for the effects of first cause. There must be an initial cause to cause this to happen. The argument from contingent beings to a necessary being. We are contingent, God is the necessary being to make us contingent. Or the argument from degrees of perfection to a most perfect being. That as we improve, there must be a most perfect, and of course that's God. Karl Barth's issue with this is, though, that none of these ideas, even though you might find the sort of concepts here in the Bible, and you may want to go and look up some of these passages. Acts 17, for example, Paul, as he goes into the Areopagus, he realises people around know there's a God, because they've even got a statue that says, to an unknown God, and then he seeks to reveal this God to them. But does this mean you would actually know the God Christians believe in? You may have a belief. Calvin, it seemed, often assumed that people believed there was a God. And so therefore his teaching was assuming there's a God. This is what we believe. No, Karl Barth, he wanted to argue that you need special revelation. These passages here show us special revelation. Genesis 12, God appears to Abraham. And he says, go from this place. Go to the place I'll show you. I'm going to bless you. I'm going to give you children. I'm going to give you a great nation. And I'm going to bless you. And whoever curses you, I'll curse. Whoever blesses you, I will bless. And all nations will be blessed through you. God speaks specifically to this one man. Psalm 19, similar concept. Hebrews 1 is where the Christian picks it up and they go, you know what? God does speak. And at various times and in many ways he spoke through the prophets in the Old Testament. But in these last days, he speaks to us through his Son, whom he appointed heir of all things. So for the Christian, the important special revelation is Jesus. Karl Barth himself argued that everything needs to be focused around Jesus. And so, special revelation actually points the Christian to Jesus. The keys would probably be that the revelation that we have is not just the book of Revelation, as in the last book of the Bible, but the whole Bible is that special revelation. But it's also the revelation into the believer who needs to understand who God is and what he's done. So my conclusion would be, We can only know God as He reveals Himself. Once you know God personally, through Jesus, you will believe there is a God. And you will look at the creation and be convinced God made it. I look at the creation around me. I look at the trees and the sky and the stars and the moon and the rivers and everything. And I'm convinced that God made it. But it's because I believe there's a God. But if you don't believe there's a God, it only makes sense. You will look at creation as, well, existing. And so revelation will have no impact on you whatsoever. In fact, for those proofs of Aquinas, really for them to work, you're smuggling in an assumed belief in God. Maybe that poses a challenge for us, where we want to try and prove God's existence. Maybe Hebrews 1 is very important. In these last days, God spoke to us through His Son. So if you want to know God, look at His Son. Maybe that's the answer that you need to explore. So just to go back to the Nicene Creed, the Christian does believe there's one God, the Father Almighty, the maker of heaven and earth. They already believe there's a God, so of course they believe He's the maker of all that is seen and unseen. You then get Jesus, okay? Through Him, though, in the Christian belief, all things were made. Okay? There's that further revelation, though, in Jesus. Okay? And then salvation, which we're going to come to in our next one. And finally, how He continues to speak to us today through Jesus in the Holy Spirit. And so the Christian believes the Holy Spirit, the Lord, the giver of life. If it weren't for the Spirit, we would not know God. And so He reveals Himself through the Spirit working inside the believer. Spoken through the prophets, but works inside us. So there you go. There's a bit about revelation, the Christian belief in revelation, and that's pretty well across the board that the Bible is going to be pretty important. He's going to reveal things through people, but He needs to work inside the believer to change them, to understand who Jesus is. Revelation, not just a book, but a whole concept.